A fire flickers in the center of a small stone enclosure. The night is still, save for the soft crackle of embers and the whispered breathing of those gathered around a patient. A young man lies face down, body taut with fear and expectation. His skull glints faintly in the firelight, and in the hands of an elder, a sharp piece of flint scrapes gently at the bone. The sound is eerie, metallic, a whisper of human courage pressed against the fragile architecture of the mind. Smoke rises, curling toward the rafters, carrying the scent of burning herbs and something more ancient: hope. The chant of the tribe threads through the stillness, a low hum meant to steady the spirit, to guide the hands that dare to touch the unknowable. In this moment, medicine and ritual meet, and a hole is cut into the skull, into the very shelter of thought and life. This was trepanation, a practice born not just of a physical injury, but perhaps from the terror of internal affliction, of a mind turned against itself, of pain beyond comprehension. It was humanity's audacious attempt to literally open the door to suffering, to reach into the most sacred chamber of the body and confront the unknown. It is among the oldest known surgical procedures, and among the most haunting. For thousands of years, across continents and cultures, humans have pierced the human head with remarkable precision. From the caves of Neolithic Europe to the plains of Peru, from the rolling steppes of Siberia to the deserts of Africa, trepanation appears as both mystery and method. The why has been debated for centuries: to release spirits, to heal trauma, to relieve unbearable pressure, or perhaps simply to intervene where the body faltered and the mind suffered. But the truth, as always in these ancient worlds, is rarely simple. The reasons were a complex tapestry, where the tangible realities of a broken skull intertwined with the invisible battles against malevolent forces, where physical pain merged with spiritual dread. Archaeology offers answers, though they are partial, tantalizing. In Brittany, France, a skull from 5,000 years ago bears a smooth, circular hole above the left temple. The edges are polished, worn by time and growth. The patient lived, perhaps months, perhaps years, after the procedure. Nearby, other skulls show similar care. Hints that these were not acts of desperation alone, but of skill, intention, and knowledge passed between hands and generations. Across the Atlantic, in the highlands of Peru, Incan skulls reveal evidence of trepanation performed with astonishing sophistication. Some were oval, some round, but all bear signs of healing. Archaeologists note that the Incan healers, sometimes called curanderos in local lore, were adept at managing bleeding, choosing surgical tools, and perhaps even employing plant-based sedatives to soothe their patients. In Siberia, Bronze Age skulls present yet another picture. Sometimes multiple holes, each carefully placed, as though mapping a delicate geography of the brain. And in the villages of ancient Africa, similar practices emerge, a thread weaving through human history, independent yet universal. How were such procedures performed? Flint, obsidian, and other sharp stones served as scalpels. Small drills, made by rotating a sharp point with the fingers, allowed for circular openings. Sometimes the technique was scraping, removing layers of bone slowly, methodically, with patience measured in hours rather than minutes. The precision is remarkable. Even without metal, without anesthesia as we know it, many patients survived. The smooth bone regrowth that archaeologists observe speaks not of brutal improvisation, but of careful observation and iterative learning. Early neurosurgery, born in the Age of Stone. This survival, meticulously documented in bone, is perhaps the most astonishing revelation. It speaks of not just the surgeon's steady hand, but also the long, patient care that followed. The provision of food and water, the tending of the wound, the protection from infection in a world utterly devoid of antibiotics. These were not solitary acts, but collective endeavors, reflecting a community's deep commitment to the survival of its members. Why would anyone risk such danger? The reasons are as varied as the skulls themselves. In some cases, trauma is evident: fractures, depressions, healed injuries, suggesting that trepanation served a therapeutic purpose. In others, the intent seems symbolic. Perhaps the mind was thought to be invaded by spirits, or madness believed to lodge as a foreign presence. In every culture, healing was not separate from belief. Medicine, ritual, and spirituality were interwoven, threads of a single tapestry. The act of opening the skull was at once an expression of reverence and rebellion. Reverence for the life contained within, rebellion against the mysteries that threatened it. Perhaps the spirits believed to cause the illness were thought to flee through the newly opened portal. Perhaps the rhythmic chant, the cleansing smoke, and the sheer audacity of the act created a powerful psychological healing that enabled the body to follow. In these ancient minds, the boundary between physical cure and spiritual deliverance was often indistinguishable. Consider the patient in the French site of Incan, whose skull shows two trepanations performed sequentially. He survived the first, perhaps because the healer understood how to clean the wound and manage bleeding. The second may have been an attempt to refine the cure, to correct what had not been fully resolved. It is evidence of experimentation, careful observation, and courage. Survival required more than skill with tools. The use of natural antiseptics, plant resins, honey, or aromatic herbs may have reduced infection. Sedation may have been achieved with hallucinogenic plants or infusions of alcohol. Archaeologists can only infer these practices, yet the healed bone is proof enough. These were not reckless acts, but interventions guided by knowledge and intuition. Across cultures, trepanation was often embedded in ritual. Fire, smoke, and sound accompanied the procedure. The healer's hands moved slowly, almost ceremoniously, while others chanted, drummed, or held the patient steady. The ritual reassured the patient, aligned the community, and invoked unseen forces. Healing was not merely mechanical. It was communal, psychological, spiritual. This echoes patterns seen in later medicine. The placebo effect, the importance of emotional support, and a mind-body connection were unknowingly harnessed, long before the scientific vocabulary existed. The symbolic power of trepanation cannot be overstated. To pierce the skull was to confront the seat of thought, the citadel of life. It was a profound act, a declaration that the human body could be intervened upon, that suffering could be challenged, that knowledge, however tentative, could touch the sacred. For the community watching, such an event would have been transformative. It offered a tangible response to an otherwise invisible threat, turning a helpless struggle against affliction into a collective act of defiance. The patient, if they survived, would carry not just a scar, but a living testament to humanity's burgeoning ability to master its own fate, or at least to try. In some cultures, multiple generations of the same family practiced trepanation, each generation refining techniques and preserving rituals. The act became a bridge between the physical and the mystical, a test of courage, and a testament to humanity's relentless drive to understand itself. In the highlands of Peru, one skull tells a story of endurance. The patient was a young adult who bore 3 carefully drilled holes, each circular and precise. The spacing suggests intentionality, a systematic approach to healing or spiritual cleansing. The bone shows evidence of regrowth, indicating survival over months or years. Here, science and ritual converge. The healer is observer, artisan, and guide. Similarly, in the Neolithic cemeteries of France, skulls exhibit healed trepanations that predate written history by thousands of years. Some were performed on individuals who already carried trauma from other causes, suggesting that trepanation addressed physical injury as well as spiritual imbalance. In Africa, sites in what is now Sudan and the Congo reveal early trepanation practiced alongside scarification and other ritualistic markings. Again, the evidence shows remarkable care. Survival rates were significant. Wounds show signs of deliberate smoothing, and in some cases, more than one procedure was performed on the same individual. Through these examples, a pattern emerges. Early humans were experimenters, not merely mystics. They observed, repeated, and refined. They learned from failure and success alike. And while the cultural context often emphasized spiritual causation, the practical knowledge embedded in these acts laid the groundwork for surgery itself. Trepanation can thus be seen as a precursor to modern neurosurgery. While our tools, techniques, and understanding have evolved, the courage demanded remains the same. The willingness to touch what is delicate, to intervene where consequences are profound, to combine intuition, observation, and belief. These are the hallmarks of medical bravery across millennia. It is also a lesson in humility. The mind, long considered impenetrable, was engaged not only with stone, but with compassion. The patient's life hung in balance, dependent on the healer's skill and the tribe's faith. In every age, healing has demanded faith, not just in God's, but in our own hands. This dynamic, the absolute trust placed in the hands of another, the healer's unwavering resolve, forms the bedrock of the patient-healer relationship, a covenant that has survived millennia and remains, in essence, unchanged today. Yet the act was not merely technical. It was poetic, ritualistic, and profoundly human. The scraping of stone on bone was accompanied by rhythm, by breath, by the presence of others. The firelight danced across faces anxious and reverent. Smoke curled like memory. And in this fragile theater, life and knowledge advance together. Modern parallels exist in subtle echoes. Neurosurgeons today still perform precise interventions, guided by tools and observation, in a tradition stretching back thousands of years. The principles, care, patience, respect for the body, resonate across the millennia, a quiet testament to human ingenuity and courage. The symbolic resonance endures as well. To open the skull is to confront mystery, to reveal the unseen, to challenge the limits of what can be touched. Trepanation reminds us that medicine is as much about courage and meaning as it is about technique, and that the human desire to heal, to intervene, to understand, to care, is as ancient as consciousness itself. As the fire dwindles and the patient rests, one can imagine the quiet satisfaction of the healer, watching the tribe breathe easier, witnessing life endure against odds. The hole in the skull is both scar and story, evidence of danger, skill, and triumph. It is a moment suspended between fear and hope, between death and survival, between the known and the unknowable. For in every era, from stone to parchment to stethoscope, the impulse remains the same: to face suffering with hands, heart, and courage, and to seek a path toward life where none seems certain. Thank you for watching our media. If you enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing. It helps us keep exploring the hidden history of healing and the human spirit. Stay curious, stay kind, and we'll see you in the next chapter.